right, welcome back to Fear Fuel, everyone. Thank you so much for sticking it out with us. We're sorry for the hiatus. As you remember, Krista and I have been doing a lot of traveling recently. We are finally well rested and back into the saddle. So as you guys are well aware of, Krista and I just recently investigated Asylum 49 with our paranormal team, Haunted Paranormal. And Krista's going to tell us a little bit more about that location.
So this location was originally built as some dude's house. And
My
then,
kind of house.
Right. And then it was converted into an actual hospital. This hospital ran till actually kind of recently. At some point it was converted into a nursing home. And so up until just about a few years ago, that nursing home ran. And parallel to the nursing home running, they owned half the building. And Asylum 49 owned the other half of the building. So these two things were running side by side. Asylum 49 is an actual haunted attraction. So during October, you can go visit and actually get scared by real people.
Yeah.
Not just ghosts.
That's my kind of dream. Like when I get old and gray, I want to go to a hospital that's half haunted house. It's just screaming my name. Let's make more of those happen.
Can you imagine just all those people like trying to go to bed at night and all you hear is chainsaw.
I'd be out there with my walker like
oh my Lord.
Seriously, that'd be me haunting till the day that I die.
Might as well. They're like, oh look, she looks so real. No, I'm trying to sleep.
I'm actually 80.
That makeup.
So while we were there, there's quite a few certain areas where they have occurrences happen. And obviously they're kind of heavier in some areas than they are in others. While we were there, we investigated the haunted house portion of it right now. The side that was a hospital now operates as small businesses as well as a school, sort of. So we were investigating the part that was the haunted house. And now, can you tell us more about the actual rooms that we were interested in?
Absolutely. So one of the areas that I was mostly fascinated of, it's an area in the haunted house. It's kind of a forest. It's set up with a whole bunch of trees, very outside looking. You're still inside, but very foresty looking.
Yeah, it's an interesting setup.
It was very cool. In this area, there is a spirit there known as the Guardian. I've been reading about the Guardian for quite some time. He was one of my favorite spirits that I was most interested in interacting with. And I really should have bitten my tongue about this one. So the Guardian, he likes to get very physical, especially with women. Mm-hmm. And when we were originally given the tour of the building, I said, I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was definitely like calling him out.
We definitely did a lot of calling out in that area. I remember at one point, and this is probably the instance that you're talking about, you felt like uncomfortable or got like scared by something, right? Right, at some point. But anyway, I'm not messing around at this point. Like, I'm out here, I'm spending all this money, I'm taking all this time off of work. Like, I want to see something. And I wasn't playing around. I don't do these games. So I was like, I'm not asking anymore. You're going to show yourself right now. Are you the person that's messing with Krista? And it kind of threw everybody off. But I was like, I'm not playing any games. I'm here. I want answers. Show yourself. We have all this equipment. I'm not asking. I demand it. So we had some really cool experiences. I think we had the best experiences in that area,
definitely.
Which is really cool.
I like called the spirit out at the beginning of the night, like during the tour.
Yeah.
And I think every single time we were in that room for the rest of the night, I was extremely dizzy. I was lightheaded. I couldn't function like how I normally do. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't dehydrated or anything like that. Like I was taking care of myself. Just it was the only part of the building, when I would leave, I would feel a lot better, almost instantly. But I mean, I fell in air a couple of times.
You did. You literally grabbed onto me. I thought you were going to hit the floor. I was like, girl, we don't even have equipment set up. Like, come on, get it together. And it was only when we were in that area,
Yeah.
which was very strange.
I fell on one of our teammates, Alana, I
Yeah.
think once or twice.
Yep.
Real sorry, but I wasn't myself. There's another section of the building. There's a room at the end with a spirit called Wesley in it. We kind of went the whole hallway as like Wesley's hall, just so we could remember where it was. But I guess at the end of this hallway, this spirit kind of walks out of his room and like walks across the door frames. And so we were definitely like interested in trying to see what he was about and what kind of interactions we could get with that.
We definitely spent a good chunk of time there. We actually got a new piece of equipment for this investigation, which is really exciting. So we're going to show you that here soon, not in this episode, but soon. We are using the technology behind an Xbox Kinect. And if you don't know too much about that, it basically projects. I don't think they're infrared. Essentially, it projects a grid that we cannot see. But we tapped into it and we were basically seeing what the camera sees. So we're seeing this grid, and it can track movements of people walking in front of it. And it has been said that you can almost track a spirit the same way. So even if we weren't seeing that in real life, we would be able to look down and see that there is something projecting itself on the camera, which is really cool.
Really cool technology.
Yep. So we spent a lot of time in that hallway trying to produce some sort of result from that new piece of equipment, which is really fun. I can't wait to use it again. It was really, really awesome.
Yes. There's another spirit in this building that goes by Sarah, and the cool thing about this spirit is that so many people have accounted for seeing her, and not in I just saw a ghost, more of, I saw this girl and then later found out it was a ghost. So she actually shows up so lifelike that people thought she was real. And I know the owners of the building actually had an experience where they were getting ready to open one night during their haunted house season, and he couldn't find any of his actors, and they were all like huddled together at a nurse's station. They're like, we're not going back out there. And he's just like, they're like, there's a ghost out there. Like, I'm not going. And so the owner like walks over. He's like, okay, like, my actors are seeing a ghost. Okay. Sees this thing for himself. And he's like, listen, you need to not scare my actors.
Can you not? We're a business. Go be a ghost somewhere else.
Literally. He goes, listen, if you want to scare the customers that are walking through, like, go for it. And I guess now, I don't know if people still see her, but like the accounts of her now are like a fog-like thing moving from like between underneath beds, and like people's ankles being grabbed. Like, I'm not about people grabbing my ankles. Like, I'm already gonna trip.
Yeah.
And another really cool thing that this building, the whole building itself, is known for, especially on the nursing home side, is the rule of threes. I don't know if you guys are a believer in rule of threes. I'm a huge believer in the rule of threes. Okay.
That's my sense.
Fair enough. So I guess while the nursing home was running, of course, like, the nurses had their night vision cameras. They could like see down the hallways and, make sure the patients are where they're supposed to be. But not currently, but at the time, like during the hour of 3 a.m., which is the witching hour, nurses on their cameras would see like black figures walking into patients' rooms, and they'd be like, what's going on? So they'd go down there, the door would be locked, and they couldn't open it. No matter how forceful they were, they would actually need like security or, janitorial staff.
Sure.
Whoever it was, come and open the door, and then they would walk into the room and their patient would be dead. And this would happen in threes. So people would die in threes.
I take it back. Don't send me to that hospital. I will fight the Grim Reaper. Don't you touch me.
She's like, I'm not down to die yet. It's not my time.
Sorry, Mr. Reaper. Not today. So if you remember in our last episode, whatever, the last thing that we presented, that we put together while we were literally on the road, you saw a video that I actually shot on my phone while we were in the forest that Krista was talking about earlier. Now, I don't think we produced really any results other than like our personal experiences from that video.
Yeah, from the video.
So we don't yet have any like recordings or anything like that. I mean, you saw what happened on the video. But we do kind of want to go over the equipment that we saw, because that we know can be a little foreign to a lot of you guys. So one of the things that we used was a flashlight. Now, a flashlight is a real easy thing to use in investigation. It's a physical item. It's round, so you put it on a table and you steady it and you make sure that, there's no wind or anything like that. And then you encourage the spirit to maybe move it around a little bit. So that's a good test.
Mess with the light.
So they can like maybe trigger the end or do something with the front and have the light go on and off. Now, obviously, you want to be very careful with experiments like this because they're hard to track. So you're going to want to get like a consistent reading before you label anything as paranormal. But that's a nice, easy thing. So like if you're beginning, you stack up on flashlights. It's the easiest thing to really get into your equipment bag. And then the next thing that we used was a recorder, which is pretty self-explanatory. We put it down and keep it close to our investigation and the test that we're doing, and we have it on record. Imagine that. And now the thing there is that we're not so much trying to capture like what we're saying, because we have that on like video and stuff like that, and we don't really need that. But what we're trying to capture is voices that we don't hear in actual time. Voices, sound effects, whatever. A lot of evidence you find from any paranormal team is stuff that they didn't actually hear in the moment. Now, sometimes you do hear them, and then you go back and re-listen to them. But a lot of the evidence that you see is stuff that didn't happen at that time. So that's another reason why we're using the recorder, because we're hoping to catch something that we weren't hearing.
It's a really cool thing to go back and listen to the audio that we had. There definitely have been times where we're having a normal conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about literally nothing, and then in the background you hear like something fall over, and we're like, like that didn't happen while we were there.
Yes.
Or somebody else talking with us, and we're like, oh, it was only the two of us there.
Mm-hmm.
And we can rule out other investigators because they're not in the same location, or we can hear them in other places.
Right.
Because we definitely like to try and rule things out before we're just like paranormal.
Oh yeah, no, you have to go through the debunking process before you can label it as anything. I don't think we've labeled something as paranormal yet. I think we've labeled it as like strange and odd, but I don't think we've said paranormal yet, just because we want to be certain, so.
It's really hard to find solid evidence.
Oh yeah. That's why there's so many teams out there. It is not an easy thing to do.
No. I mean, I've had my experiences, you've had your experiences.
Yeah.
But as far as actually catching it happen, it always seems to happen not on camera.
Yeah.
Convenient.
Right.
But as far as some of our other equipment goes, you guys have probably seen one of these on TV countless times. This is just a K2 meter, super handy. So you can see all the different kind of lights here. It does stay lit up on this one green dot while it's on, and that's just to show you it's on.
There's not a ghost here right now.
There's always a ghost with you.
Always. Perma-ghost.
So the thing we like to do with this is this measures electromagnetic fields. So obviously if you hold it up to like a wire or a computer, a laptop or something, it's gonna go off. It's giving off some sort of energy.
One thing that's kind of cool that I always forget about is that like your phone can sometimes interact with it.
Yes.
But here's the thing, it doesn't always. Like if I just were to put my phone, see, nothing's happening. But if I were to get a message, like that.
Oh, this is going off.
Okay, so it happens sometimes. But like if you get a message, it'll like make it go off. It's very weird. You have to be very careful.
We always like to not have our phones with us or have them in airplane mode or something. So that way we know it's not like our technology interfering.
Yes.
But like with these, you always want to make sure you kind of get your base reading for the room. We like to have it like on a level surface, hands off, trying not to touch it. So that way we just know, we're not just messing with it.
Right.
but you know, we'll try to ask a series of questions and see if it responds. And another thing we like to do is light it up to the certain colors. Be like, okay, if there's a male spirit here, light it up to yellow. Cool, no ghosts. And you know, if it does it once, cool. But we like to try and get, you know, consistent readings. If, you know, we throw out 7 or 8 questions and it's lighting up to orange or to red every single time like we ask it to, we're a lot more likely to consider that paranormal than like a random orange or yellow light here or there.
Yeah.
Because you just never know about outside factors.
No, there's just so much stuff, especially in today's world, to really interact with your readings, that you have to get, like Krista said, that consistency. We're really looking for intellectual answers, not just like fluke readings from stuff that's floating around in the air and stuff.
I mean, you may not always have an intellectual spirit. So, you know, you may have a spirit there and it just may not be able to communicate.
Ghost dog.
With you. Where?
No. I'm saying like if there was a ghost dog because you said it wasn't intellectual. Sorry.
I
There's
have
not
that
actually a ghost dog here.
Bummer. I have that experience with the ghost cat in my old apartment.
Aww.
Save that for another time. But very similar to our last piece of equipment here, you guys may have seen in our previous video, is this thing. We also call it our K2 meter. We like to call it the one with the numbers though, because it has numbers. We're like, do you guys have the K2 with numbers? Yes. Okay. But this one,
Real technical.
This one's really cool because it also has the temperature. So it definitely lets us know if there's like a temperature drop in the room. Obviously, these things read like when we go into the room, you kind of have to let it settle and adjust. It says it's really hot in my house right now.
It's because I'm here.
Ooh. But they let us know about the temperature drops. And then these numbers up here, it has a baseline of 0.0. So it's really helpful when, you know, you're being like, hey, can you light this up to 4.5 for us if you're a female ghost? Still no ghost. This thing is also really cool because once it hits a certain number, I believe it's 5 or 6, it starts alarming.
Yeah.
So even if it's something that we're not paying attention to, you know, just kind of sitting over there, if it starts kind of going off for no reason, it definitely grabs our attention and we're like, oh, hey.
Yeah, it's a nice thing to have.
It also turns red. So if we see a red light from across the room, we're like, well, that's weird. Like, what's going on over there? So this definitely has a way of getting our attention a couple different ways. Works very, very similar to last one I showed you. Want to make sure that, you know, the information is intelligent. That's really the biggest thing when you're doing experiments like this, is you really want to make sure that you're getting intelligent answers and not just a random fluke.
Yeah. So like the other K2, I mean, that one can fluctuate. You'll see the numbers kind of going up and down and floating around through like 1, 2, 3, 4 point something. But remember we go investigate the Black Forest down in southern Colorado just for funsies. And we love to use this thing because I think at one point, like we've had it spike to like 400, 500, but I think the last time we were there, it spiked, I swear to God, to like 1,000. And I'm just like, what's happening? Like, this is a very off the charts spike. You know, I'm used to it kind of fluctuating, but to shoot up that high is so interesting. Yeah. So obviously it doesn't give us exact words. It doesn't spell out, I am ghost, but it gives us something to go on. And it's such a strange reading that it's just, it gives us something to go on. Like I said, it's really interesting. I
definitely think the strangest part about that time was it wasn't just like the 1,000. It was constantly up there.
Yeah.
It was shooting up at like 600, 500.
Yeah. And
I think at one point I was like, ho, 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 like if you're a ghost, light it up to 666 and it lit up to 66.6. And I was like, shut up. But what's like the strangest thing about this is my boyfriend has a very, very nice computer, very high tech, lots of stuff over there. gives off a lot of this, and that doesn't even make this go high.
Yeah, it's so interesting to think about it. Okay, we still don't know what would make it spike that high.
What kind of forceful thing?
Seriously.
Like, I can't even imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a lot.
It is. So while we were at Asylum 49, let me tell you, Krista is the best at putting together, like,
I wonder what I'm the best at.
Equipment sheets and stuff like that. We were so organized. It was so awesome. So one thing we did differently this time was that we made sure that so we split the building in half. Krista's getting 8 cameras, Devin has 4, so we had Krista on one side, Krista and her equipment, and then Devin on the other, and then we would just investigate the whole thing. Now, for Krista's equipment, we were very specific because we've gone through so much evidence where it's just like we spend so much time trying to decipher who's where and what's where that we're like, not this time. So in every location that we set up equipment, we had camera, audio, which was a recorder, and then a motion light. And that way, if anything happened on one of those things, we can go back and reconfirm it on another.
Yes.
You know, so if I hear a click on a recorder and then I go back to the camera and I see the motion light go off, then I know what that click was. But now I also know that I should probably be looking at this evidence a little harder because there's potentially something happening, which is really cool. So that's one thing that we really tried to do in this investigation that I think helped a lot, even though we haven't really gotten too much just yet, especially any hard evidence, but it's made going through everything a lot easier.
It's definitely going to be very helpful when we start going through our visual evidence. Because obviously, you know, I have a timestamp on a recorder. If there's something I'm questioning, you know, some sort of voice that I heard while going through that, I can be like, okay, well, these team members are at these locations. That's weird because I heard the voice from here. I was like, okay. Oh, the motion light also went off, but there's no one there. Like, when you have those three things pieced together, it sets you up for a solid piece of evidence.
Oh yeah. Just having those things to back it up as opposed to just like one thing.
Yeah.
It's real nice. So we're going to continue going through evidence. Hopefully we're going to have some really good stuff to send your way. But in the meantime, don't forget to click like and subscribe and, you know, hang in there with us. We're going to keep bringing you all the videos that you want to see every Thursday. So as always, we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye guys.